Right now at noon, the trial for a man accused of killing a Sun Prairie man is underway. We'll have the latest from the Dane County courtroom. And President Trump is planning on addressing the nation tonight. We'll tell you what he plans to tell Americans.
This is News 3 at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 on this Tuesday afternoon. Let's find out what's happening in the weather. Meteorologist Chris Reese is here with our first alert forecast. Last I looked outside, the sun was out.
The sun was out, at least for a time. There's more cloud cover that's going to take over. Of course, the bigger story is just how windy
I heard somebody's coming in. Boy, it's windy out there.
I have a friend in town right now who just came to visit from up south, but he just sent me a text and he said, it's really windy. I said, well, welcome to the Midwest. That's just how things tend to go right now. Wind gusts right now upwards of 40 miles per hour in some spots. At the airport in Madison, the most recent wind gust at 28 miles per hour. So if you have a high-profile vehicle, beware, you're going to have just a little bit of driving trouble out there with the winds coming around. Sustained winds at 16 right now. Lone Rock, their sustained wind is at 29 miles per hour. Here's a live look outside. Camera shaking just a little bit here at our studios. The air temperature, though, 41. So they have been slow to drop as we have gone throughout the day, but I do think we will continue to see some of those dropping temperatures. The colder air is just to our north and west. We're in the 30s once you get to the Dells and points northward, 37 right now in Mineral Point. And as we zoom things out, yeah, it's definitely a cold front coming in. 15 in Brainerd, Minnesota right now, 14 in Fargo. And that could be what temperatures are like for us as we get you towards tomorrow morning, and likely not getting a whole lot better. So expect those temperatures to fall as we go through the next 12 hours at a minimum. And of course, a lot of the rain from this morning getting on out of here, but we could see at least a few flurries as we go through the evening, Mark.
Well, the 50s in January just wasn't quite right.
I was like, that is not what I signed up for with moving to Wisconsin, but I will take it. It's not bad.
Yeah, but back to reality.
Back to reality. It's coming soon.
All right, Chris, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
All right,
Sounds good.
The trial for the man accused of killing a Sun Prairie man and hiding his body is underway. 60-year-old Daniel Leeske is charged with first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse in the death of 21-year-old Jesse Faber. Last week, Leeske pleaded guilty to hiding a corpse. Prosecutors say Leeske shot Faber 5 times and hid his body in a storage unit in Ryle.
I believe the evidence will show everything that I told you. I believe when we are done here, you will have all the evidence you need to return a verdict of guilty on first-degree intentional homicide.
Thank you.
Leeske's trial expected to last until January 18th. Leeske's fiancée, 52-year-old Michelle Goss, pleaded guilty to helping him move the body. Her sentencing is scheduled for April. Madison police investigating an armed robbery overnight at an East Side gas station. Officers were called to Kelly's Market at 2601 Shopco Drive just after 10 last night after a man went into the store with a gun and took money before running away. Anyone with information about the robbery asked to call Madison police at 608-255-2345 or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers at 608-266-6014. A Madison man is facing a felony charge after allegedly driving drunk with a minor in his vehicle. The Dane County Sheriff's Office says 49-year-old Roy Bergen was pulled over at 12:05 this morning in the city of Madison for driving with a revoked license. However, the deputy conducting the traffic stop arrested Bergen on his 3rd offense of operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. Bergen was also driving with a passenger under the age of 16 in the car. Bergen was then arrested on a felony OWI charge and cited for operating a vehicle with a revoked license. Latest test of a Madison well that had low levels of contaminants indicates a slight increase now. Madison Water Utility announced in November that it was working on remediation efforts for 2 wells in Madison's with trace levels of PFAs, or chlorinated compounds, in them. The latest test focused on well 15, that's near East Town Mall. Madison Water Utility found a total concentration of PFAs at well 15 of 0.042 parts per billion, which is well below the EPA health advisory level. PFAs are man-made chemicals that have been produced since the 1950s and have been used for a variety of industrial applications, including coatings for textiles and firefighting foams. The levels are not considered a threat to public health. MWU will be testing for PFAs at well 15 monthly through the year. Well, President Trump will address the nation tonight to say why he believes the U.S. needs a wall along the southern border. The president has been making the argument the wall's needed for national security. Democrats say that's not true. President Trump has said if Congress won't act, he'll consider declaring a national emergency, which could allow him to use military funds to build the wall. The standoff over spending $5.7 billion to build the wall has pushed the partial government shutdown into day 18, with both sides blaming each other.
We would challenge it in every single way that we could, in Congress, in the courts, and otherwise.
The Democrats refuse to negotiate until the president reopens the government.
Going to Camp David. Thank you. You can watch the president's speech right here at 8 o'clock this evening. Democrats will deliver a rebuttal and say if the president's past statements are any indication, his remarks will be full of malice and misinformation. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. I'm next. We'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you have a bear-sized sweet tooth, then you're gonna want to get out of hibernation for these. Yes, they're that good. After all the running around we did during the holidays, many of us like coming home and hibernating after a long day. Now, I'm not talking about hibernating like a bear and sleeping for months without eating. I'm talking about laying low for a bit. So for those of you who like this idea, we came up with a recipe for a dessert called bear claws that you can easily make at home while hibernating. We begin by cutting a sheet of frozen puff pastry that we thawed into squares. Now we top half of each square with some canned almond filling. Once they're all topped, we fold the dough over the filling and seal the edges. Now we cut 4 slits along the edge of each square and sort of curve it back a bit so they resemble the claw of a bear. Then we brush each one with an egg wash and sprinkle them with some sliced almonds before popping them in the oven. When they come out, we let them cool for a bit before drizzling them with a 2-ingredient homemade glaze. As for the taste, between the rich almond filling, the flaky crust, and the sweetness of the glaze, you might want to grab a plate of these and go into hibernation. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our almond bear claws so you can make an unbearably good dessert without leaving your den. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a grizzly good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, Howard, thank you. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. A much cooler and very windy Tuesday across southern Wisconsin. Meteorologist Chris Reese will have your first alert forecast when we come back. Well, another nail in the coffin for Sears and the jobs with the biggest paydays in America. Diane King Hall has more in today's Money Watch report.
It may be the end of an era for Sears. According to multiple reports, the more than century-old company is asking a bankruptcy judge to liquidate. You may remember Sears filed for bankruptcy in October in an attempt to reorganize. But its last Hail Mary, an offer from Chairman Eddie Lampert to buy the once iconic retail chain, was rejected. Former Nissan Chairman Carlos Ghosn says he is innocent. 64-year-old Ghosn denied accusations of alleged financial misconduct today in his first public appearance since his arrest in November. Prosecutors in Japan are charging him with underreporting his income. The mood of small business owners drifted slightly lower in December. According to the National Federation of Independent Business, optimism edged down to a reading of 104.4. Business owners are struggling with finding qualified candidates to fill open jobs, and fewer owners see the current period as a good time to expand. A new list of the best-paying jobs in America is out. According to U.S. News and World Report, anesthesiologists made the most money, raking in almost $266,000 a year. That was followed by general surgeons, making just over $250,000. Only one job among the highest paid is considered low stress, and that's orthodontists. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Diane, thank you. The Dow Industrial is up 183 points at the noon hour. The NASDAQ up 37. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee. I guess we're in the wrong line of work.
Hello, yeah, but I can put people to sleep just like they can, though, Mark. Come on, dude. Yeah, today we're kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in China. We had thought that the U.S.-China negotiations were going to end today. Now the U.S. House, or I should say the Special Forces, telling us that we might go into a third day of discussion. Apparently, the corn and soybean boys are not exactly excited about prolonging these conversations. We had momentum on our side yesterday, thinking that we were going to get some deals done. There was also an email rumor out there this morning. A commodity firm down in Chicago said they received a report that China had bought 25 loads of U.S. soybeans. Well, nobody can get verification on that. So we're trading lower on corn and beans. Please pay attention to the cattle market, though. We're up a couple pennies this week. I know it's not a lot. Honestly, I know it's not a lot, but we're up a couple pennies. Also, thank you for the email. Some folks said, Pam, why don't you pick one of these topics, one of these categories, and explain what it really means to us. I will promise to try to do that over the course of the next couple of weeks. What you have to realize is when there's actually news that's influencing our markets, that takes priority over me trying to help folks understand terminology, but I will dedicate some time to that. As you can see, corn and soybeans are lower on the midday. Wheat is finding a little bit of good news. We are not going to get the January 11th World Ag Supply Demand Report, but Brazil is going to come out with their estimates as far as overall production, so the market's going to be waiting on that. But like I said, with the federal government still shut down, we're really starting to get a little scrawny as far as the news and information these traders have access to that's been vetted by an independent source. Plenty of analysts out there that want to give you their thoughts and opinions, but the independent information kind of thin and few and far between. Today, barrel cheese dropped another penny and a half in Chicago at 127 3/4. 40-pound block cheese down 2 at 138. The AA butter unchanged today, $2.23 a pound. All right, now see, are you awake? Because if you're not awake, I want to get paid more for doing this segment, obviously, Mark.
Rapt attention here, every word.
Sure.
What?
Sure you
what?
would.
What did you say?
I get that a lot.
We listen. No, Pam, we pay attention.
Oh, yes. All right. Okay,
have a great day.
See you later.
And we're paying attention to Chris Reese because he has a much cooler forecast.
Yeah, at least a cooler forecast in the near term. Things have really been mild lately, still mild starting out right now. The temperature 41 degrees, winds out of the west at 16 miles per hour as we speak. But generally, things are colder than they were just 24 hours ago, 5 degrees colder here in Madison. La Crosse at 10 degrees colder. You work your way up towards Minnesota, and you're upwards of 20 degrees colder than they were at this time yesterday. I think we'll see that kind of deal shaping up, especially as we get you towards tomorrow morning. The moral of the story is the colder air, it's working its way towards the south and east in time. So 40s to our south, yes, but 20s and teens are just to our north and west. And we also had a little bit of rain come through, oddly enough, early this morning, initially thinking that may be snow, but those temperatures just held strong on the warm side. So that came through as rain, and we've actually had a lot of rain lately and really not as much in the form of some snow. So we are well below average in terms of what we should see in terms of snow. Yes, we've had some snow here or there, but for the season, we've only picked up 9.7 inches of snow. Normally, by this time, we've picked up closer to 20 inches of snow. So we are certainly about halfway to what we should be experiencing. And we've had a lot of rainmakers that could have been snow. They just didn't have the cold air to tap into. And that's been a trend over the past 47 to 50 years. We have seen warming winters. In fact, the Great Lakes in the Northeast have been warming up at the fastest rate. And we will continue to see that warming trend. And it's not that the cold air doesn't exist. It's there. Here it is over the North Pole right now. But with the El Nino influence pattern that we're in, it's going to be hard to get that cold air to come down. We have what's known as a split flow pattern that keeps the colder air bottled up towards the north. In fact, going at least through about the next 10 days of January, we're going to continue to see that colder air bottled up in the north. And for us, yeah, we'll have some cooler air, but the reality is it's generally going to be milder. And so as we go through the next 8 to 14 days, do expect temperatures to likely be above average before there are signs of a cold stretch as we get you towards the 4th week of January and into February. We'll watch that one closely. Going through the rest of this afternoon, though, we may see at least a few flurries with temperatures falling through the 30s, 20s by dinner time, and then overnight tonight, we'll fall towards about 14 degrees. The thing is, we do not get a lot better tomorrow, folks, staying in the teens for most of the day, and 20 is as warm as it gets, so you will certainly want those jackets headed into tomorrow. Gradually warming up by Thursday with some sunshine. 30s return by the time we get you towards the week's end. We do at least have a chance of some light snow Friday and into Saturday. And Mark, I'm watching that one closely. I like snow for the birthday, you know, that's Sunday, but so far things are looking fairly warm over the next 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, above average.
Very much above average
except
at
for
that.
tomorrow. All right, Chris. Thank you. Coming up next on News 3 at noon, Dr. Jim Orvik is here from the Oregon Vet Clinic to take your pet questions. 270-9933, the number to call. We'll get to your calls right after this. Dr. Jim Orvik is taking your calls at 270-9933, your pet questions. It's been such a mild winter, and there's a little bit of ice out there, and a lot of dogs will go through the ice this time.
Yes. My daughter neighbor had lost a dog through the ice
Really?
last winter, yeah.
So
it can happen, and they live on a lake, and they got 2 dogs themselves, and it's always a worry, and same with the kids and the grandkids.
So what do you do if the dog goes in?
Well, if it's shallow enough for you to stand up, just go after it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, lay flat on the ice and try to get a hold of something, and keep a leash on so you can pull them back out so they don't get underneath the ice. But most dogs can swim enough to stay on top.
And then get them warm?
Oh, yeah.
Put them in the bathtub, that sort of thing, or not?
Oh, I think just wrap them up. It depends on how long they're in the water. If they're too long and losing consciousness, just take them to the vet and get them warm
or stay off the
fluids.
ice.
Stay off the ice.
That might be better. Let's go to the call. The phones will start with Wendy in Boston. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
What recommendations, what vaccines would you recommend for cats that are in their senior years? Indoor cats.
They don't get out at all?
They go out just temporarily, out on a leash for about 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm. No exposure to other cats.
No.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of debate about vaccinating pets in general with some of the diseases that are in the vaccine. Like, people always went in for their distemper shot.
Mm-hmm.
Once a cat's an adult, it's never going to get distemper.
Really?
Yeah. So it's just convenient to say your distemper shot, but it's the other diseases in there that you're really looking for, which are respiratory viruses that cause colds and runny eyes and things. And they don't make a very good immunity, so boostering them every year is a good idea on that. And most veterinarians are pretty much up on that, and they can fill you in on the latest thinking of you can test the immunity of your pet before you vaccinate it.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of debate on vaccines lately.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Jen in Reeseville. Hi, Jen.
Hi. I have a question for him. My dog sleeps an awful lot. And another one is these meat treats you can buy. They're only $1 or something. Someone had on Facebook one day that his dog got sick and died from eating them.
I don't know what treats those are.
Well, there was some discussion about treats made in China.
Yes, and over the years, I remember that we have run into these rawhide chews, that some of them were quite toxic from China.
Just make sure it's made in America.
Yeah, made in America and a reputable company, because they have
And
resources.
sleeping too much, dogs sleep a lot.
Well, there may be problems like thyroid or something. I don't know what the rest of the history is on the dog.
Yeah, but sleeping too much,
if it was active and all of a sudden it just sleeps all the time, there's probably something wrong.
All right. We are out of time. If you're on the line, stay there. Doctor will talk to you off the air. We'll see you next month.
Yes, sir.
All right. Chris is here with one final check of the forecast.
Yeah, we could see some flurries later on today, but the bigger story is going to be temperatures that are gradually falling all the way down to 14 degrees tonight, and into tomorrow we do not get out of the teens or really deep into the 20s at all. 20 is about as warm as it gets.
That's some of the coldest weather so far.
So far, and oddly enough, that's actually one day with below average temperatures. Once we get towards the weekend, we are jumping right back up to temperatures that are above average and that have been above average for quite some time.
We can take one day.
Yes, we can.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 4. Have a great afternoon.
I think we had all the cold weather.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.